Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime. Listen, 41,000 feet above a sleeping ocean. The air is so thin it feels like the ship itself is holding its breath. Somewhere behind a sealed bulkhead you can hear the soft clink of porcelain being set for breakfast that was never ordered. Silverware laid out in perfect silence for a table booked 18 months ago by a family who never walked through the jetway. That metallic heartbeat in the fuselage, that's tonight's hook. Cutlery arranging itself for guests whose boarding passes still read in Osho. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while the cabin lights dim to that bruised violet that only exists above the weather, drop your city and the exact local time glowing on your screen right now in the comments. I read every single one when the sky feels too large to carry alone. These aren't cruise ships. They're stratoliners, 12-deck cathedrals of carbon fiber and whispered money that glide in the dark between continents, where national laws end and the company's word becomes scripture. The fleet calls them the Eternal Circuit. The crew just calls them the Circuit. And the Circuit never forgets a reservation. Kill the lights. Come closer. And let me tell you what happens when a suite refuses to stay empty. My name is irrelevant. I've been senior cabin steward on the Eternal Harmony for 9 years. Long enough to taste tomorrow's destination in the recycled air, Siberian pine after Novosibirsk overflight, monsoon salt before the Bay of Bengal, the ghost of cherry blossom that still clings to the vents no matter how many times engineering swears they changed the filters. I thought I understood every flavor of absence you can bottle at altitude. Then came Imperial Suite 1414 on the Constellation deck, booked solid by the Villeneuve family out of Montreal. Dr. Julien Villeneuve, wife Camille, twin daughters Eloise and Leonie, aged 10. Full payment wired 18 months earlier, the kind of money that makes the purser weep with joy. But when we sealed the jetway at Montreal Saint-Exupéry Stratoport and climbed into the night, facial recognition, retina, voice print, DNA swab, every biometric gate flashed red. The Villeneuves were officially no-show. Standard procedure: lock the suite, reassign after 48 hours, auction the welcome champagne to the highest bidder in the casino. Except Suite 1414 refused to stay locked. Night 4, somewhere over the black lung of the Atlantic where satellites lose sight of us, my tablet chimed awake. Motion sensors. Door 1414 cycling open-close like someone inside can't decide whether to let the corridor in. I was 3 decks below folding the 10,000th towel origami of my life when the alert hit. Rich kids with cracked keycards, I thought, and took the express lift to Constellation. The corridor up here is carpeted in midnight cashmere, so thick your footsteps drown before they're born. The air is refrigerated to polar elegance. When I reached 1414, the door stood 3 centimeters ajar, the exact polite gap you leave when you're expecting turn-down service. I swiped my master. The suite lights were dimmed to amber sunrise, exactly the preference listed on the Villeneuve profile. For Louis Vuitton trunks sat unzipped by the wardrobe, monogrammed JV, CV, EV, LV. A half-eaten children's chicken tender basket on the lacquered table still steamed. A crayon drawing was taped to the panoramic window that looks out on nothing but starlight and the gentle curve of the planet. Stick figure family waving under a yellow sun with a smiley face. No bodies. I stepped inside. Bedroom. Beds turned down. Pillows bearing 4 perfect head-shaped hollows. Bathroom. Shower still dripping. Mirror fogged with 2 adult handprints and 2 heartbreakingly small ones at knee height. The luggage tags weren't Montreal. They were Singapore Changi, Flight SQ 447, dated 19 months ago. And the name embossed beneath the cracked leather, Dr. Liuwei. Every veteran sky crew knows that name. Dr. Liu Wei was chief atmospheric engineer on the Eclipse Eternal, our sister ship that suffered catastrophic hull failure, over the Andaman Sea. Official report: micrometeoroid swarm punched the fuselage like shotgun pellets. Unofficial whisper: something tore the ship open from the inside. 311 souls gone in 7 seconds. Not even DNA left to bury. Yet here were his trunks. Here were his daughter's tiny dresses laid out on the chaise like they were choosing tomorrow's outfit for the Himalayan overflight. I radioed security. Protocol for paranormal adjacency events on the circuit is identical to maritime. Deny, document, delete. But Reza, night duty officer, 24 years above the clouds, arrived so fast his boots were still unlaced. He took one look and went the color of moonlit bone. "That's Lou's son," he whispered. "The girls drew it the morning before the sky ate them." We stood listening to the air recyclers breathe for us. Then my tablet chimed again. Room service order, Suite 1414. 2 filet mignon medium, 2 children's mac and cheese, 1 bottle of 2005 Dom Perignon. Delivery, 21:30. It was 21:28. Reza reached for his taser the way a sailor reaches for a rosary. I backed into the corridor. The door closed itself, soft, courteous, the way a thoughtful guest closes it when they do not wish to be disturbed. 6 hours later, the suite ordered again. Midnight strawberry milk for the twins, 3 o'clock warm honey water, the exact comfort drink Dr. Lou requested when his daughters had nightmares about reentry plasma. Each time the dumbwaiter returned scraped clean, napkins folded into perfect origami cranes. A faint lipstick trace on one champagne flute matching Camille Lou's discontinued Rouge d'Or shade. By dawn we were skimming the Sahara, the dunes below glowing like molten copper. Housekeeping was sent in with industrial ozone machines and new keycards. They found nothing. No trunks, no crayon sun, no handprints. Just the lingering scent of cherry blossom and ionized air. 3 nights later, on the maiden voyage of the brand-new Aurora Eternal, Suite 1414 ordered afternoon high tea for 4. Same names. Same children's mac and cheese. Same bottle of Dom. The circuit, it seems, shares frequent flyer miles with the dead. I put in my transfer request that morning. Denied. Critical staffing shortage. They gave me a bonus large enough to buy a small house on the ground and a brand new nightmare I can't sell. Places don't haunt us up here. There's not enough oxygen for ghosts to breathe on their own. No, we carry them in the overhead bins of memory, and sometimes the seatbelt sign never goes out. Curiosity carried me into that suite the first night. Fear kept me triple-checking manifests ever since. And awe, quiet, terrible awe, is knowing that somewhere above the jet stream, a family is still trying to finish the vacation the sky stole from them. If you're still awake at this hour, you already know why. Feel that faint drop in pressure, the way the air suddenly tastes of candle smoke and old roses, even though we're cruising above the Arctic Circle where nothing has ever been allowed to burn. Tonight's hook is colder than the void outside the window. A wine glass on table 42 refilling itself with 1996 Chateau d'Yquem, the golden liquid climbing the crystal as though an invisible, devoted hand keeps topping it up for someone who never stood up to leave. The Constellation dining room on Deck 9 of the Eternal Harmony is pure theater. Floor-to-ceiling smart glass that turns the stratosphere into a private cinema, chandeliers made of frozen meteorite dust, and a string quartet that plays only pieces written the year the passengers were born. Daniel Ortega has been head waiter here for 11 seasons. He can spot a black Amex from across the room, knows which oligarch tips in cryptocurrency and which one still uses gold Krugerrands, and has memorized the exact temperature at which a widow's grief begins to thaw. Then came Mrs. Irene Valdemar, 78, silver hair twisted into a chignon that turbulence itself couldn't disturb, booking table 42 every single night at 2015 sharp for the entire Aurora Borealis circuit. She always requested table for 2. Night 1 she arrived alone, radiant in midnight blue silk, pearls the size of tears. She ordered the Chateaubriand carved tableside, 2 glasses of the 96 Chem, and spoke to the empty chair opposite her in soft, perfect French. Mon cœur, they remembered the truffle butter this time. Daniel played along, pulled out the empty chair, poured 2 glasses, let her toast the air. The second napkin was always unfolded by morning, bearing the faint pressure of invisible knees. The bread basket always half empty, crumbs arranged like someone had pinched them with manicured fingers. The open bottle of Echem always down exactly 1 glass more than Daniel had poured. He told himself rich people grieve strangely at 41,000 feet. Night 6. Mrs. Valdemar suffered a massive aortic rupture right there at table 42. Collapsed face first into the morel sauce while the quartet seamlessly switched to Debussy so the other tables wouldn't panic. Daniel caught her, felt her ribs crack under CPR, watched the medical team wheel her away beneath a gold emergency blanket. Time of death, 2047. Body to the morgue drawer on deck 2. Manifest updated. Valdemar, Irene, deceased. 2012. The following evening, the maitre d' radioed. Table 42 for 2. Valdemar party, already seated. Daniel laughed until he cried, then walked out with 2 menus anyway. Mrs. Valdemar sat exactly where she died, cheeks flushed with life, pearls luminous. The opposite chair was pulled out. Resting on the damask tablecloth was a man's hand. Only the hand, fingers interlaced with hers. Navy cuff, 3 gold anchor buttons catching the meteorite light. Daniel had never seen Mr. Valdemar. Irene always said he was resting in the suite. The hand squeezed hers once, reassuringly. Daniel served them anyway. Muscle memory is stronger than terror at altitude. He presented the specials. Irene smiled and ordered the exact same Chateaubriand for 2, the exact same Echem. When he carved, the second plate filled itself, slices lifting off the silver dome, arranging themselves in perfect fan pattern while the knife in his hand never moved. The wine breathed, poured, swirled in 2 glasses though he only touched 1. At 20:47 exactly, the precise minute she died the night before, the temperature around table 42 plummeted 23 degrees. Frost bloomed across the smart glass like fern lace. Irene raised her glass, eyes shining, and said in English for the first time all week, "Happy 50th anniversary, my love. 50 years, and the sky still can't keep us apart." The hand lifted its glass. Crystal chimed against crystal, though nothing visible touched. Then Irene looked straight at Daniel, gentle, almost apologetic. "We'll take the Grand Marnier soufflé now, Daniel. And tell the pastry chef the sauce was flawless last night." Last night, when she was already dead, he fled through the galley, past sous chefs who pretended not to see the tears, pulled the manifest on the crew terminal, Valdemar, Irene, deceased. Yet the reservation system still listed her active, preference notes freshly updated. Husband dislikes shallots. Daughters allergic to shellfish, though the daughters never boarded. Security tried to intervene after dessert. They found the table empty, plates scraped clean, 2 napkins folded into perfect swans, lipstick on both wine glasses now. The opposite chair bore the clear indentation of a heavy man who had leaned forward to kiss his wife goodnight. The morgue drawer was still occupied. Daniel checked himself. Irene's face gray, unmistakable, lips turning violet from the cold. Yet every night at 2015 table 42 was booked again. Same request. Same invisible hand waiting. The company flew in a crisis team by chase plane. They made Daniel sign an NDA written in 4 languages and thick enough to stop a bullet. Gave him a stateroom upgrade and a therapist who only asked how he slept. He transferred to ground staff the day we landed. Lives in Oaxaca now. Refuses to go above the 2nd floor of any building. I asked him once what frightened him more, the dead woman dining, or the fact her husband only ever appeared as a hand. He said every night, after the toast, The navy cuff rode up just enough to reveal a faded hospital bracelet dated exactly 50 years ago, the night Irene, a young naval nurse, pulled Captain Valdemar from a burning seaplane ditch in the Coral Sea. Some marriages, sweetheart, refused to acknowledge altitude limits or death certificates. Curiosity made Daniel pour that second glass the first night. Fear made him run when the frost arrived. Awe, the kind that hollows you out and leaves you lighter, came when he realized he had been waiter for a love that outlived the sky itself. Close the door, kill the lights, and come closer. Somewhere above the midnight Pacific, the recycled air suddenly smells of cotton candy and children's sunscreen, even though we're flying 1,000 miles from the nearest beach. Tonight's hook is the smallest, saddest one yet. A single child-sized cushion in the front row of the Nebula Play Lounge that keeps sinking under weight no adult can see, while the holographic stars overhead part like curtains whenever a little girl in a blue sequin dress waves at puppets that aren't programmed to wave back. Deck 6 of the Eternal Harmony houses the Nebula Play Lounge, a zero-gravity bubble of color and sound where the ceiling is a living galaxy and the floor is soft enough to forgive every tantrum. Sofia Delgado has run children's programming here for 12 seasons. She knows every allergy, every secret fear, every magic word that turns tears into giggles. She believed the stratosphere was the safest playground on Earth. No strangers, no sharp edges, just endless sky and parental wristbands that ping if a child drifts too far. Until Mia Lindstrom, age 7, from Stockholm. Night 3 of the Trans-Siberian Arc, the Lindstrom family occupied the Royal Panorama Pod on Deck 12. Dad, renewable energy billionaire. Mom, UN climate envoy. Mia, gap-toothed, fearless, clutching a stuffed narwhal named Bubbles, and wearing the exact same glittery blue princess gown every single day, because Elsa would never change outfits mid-quest. During the midnight aurora viewing in the panoramic observation blister, a glass sphere that juts from the hull like a soap bubble, Mia leaned too far over the safety rail to catch a falling star. A sudden yaw from clear air turbulence, a maintenance hatch left unlatched after servicing, and she slipped straight through. The alarms sealed the blister before the scream even finished. Official cause: explosive decompression exposure. A puff of frost against the aurora, then nothing. The family was emergency shuttled to Reykjavik Stratoport at first light. Manifest updated. Lindstrom, MIA, deceased/lost to vacuum. The lounge staff lit a candle, taped Mia's crayon drawings to the memory wall, and carried on. Children are buoyant. The schedule must drift. But on night 4, during the holographic puppet show Princesses of the Stratosphere, Sophia noticed the front row cushion in seat A. One dip exactly 41 pounds. The precise weight logged at Mia's check-in. The cushion's LED ring glowed soft Arctic blue, the color it turns only when occupied. The other children, 9 of them, ages 4 to 10, scooted away, whispering about the cold girl who's already sitting there. Sophia scanned the room. No unaccounted wristbands. The show began, holographic princesses battling comet dragons. Halfway through, a crystal-clear giggle floated from A1. Mia's giggle, recorded in her intake video as contagious joy. The lead puppet, Princess Nova, suddenly turned her glowing head toward the empty seat and said, unscripted, "Welcome aboard, Captain Mia. Ready to steer the starship." The AI script doesn't improvise. Yet Princess Nova waited, smiling, as if listening to an answer only she could hear. Then a small voice, bright as glacier melt. "Yes. Bubbles wants to fly too." Bubbles the narwhal had been recovered from the blister, sealed and lost and found. But on the security feed Sophia pulled up on her tablet, a fuzzy white shape nestled in invisible arms on seat A1. The children saw her clearly now. Pigtails, sequin blue gown, gap-toothed grin, waving both hands. Adults saw only the cushion compressing and uncompressing as though tiny lungs were breathing excitement. When the zero-gravity dance number started, soft footsteps pattered across the anti-static carpet in perfect 4/4 time, leaving size 27 scuffs that matched the spare princess slippers Mia's mother had packed. By intermission, the other kids were clustered at the back. "She's cold like space," one whispered. "She says she fell through the floor and kept falling." Sophia canceled the second half, promised extra constellation cookies, and checked the environmental logs. Temperature in A1 had dropped 11 degrees, cold enough to fog the air above the cushion in the perfect outline of a child's open-mouthed laugh. The science of high-altitude psychology insists that collective hallucination is common in low-oxygen luxury environments. But the pressure sensors logged 41 pounds. The audio buffers captured Mia's voice asking Princess Nova whether reindeer can breathe in space. And the holographic stars kept parting in a perfect child-shaped silhouette. That night, Mia's mother, still inexplicably listed as aboard due to a manifest glitch, wandered into the lounge at closing, eyes hollow as the void. She stood before A1 and whispered in Swedish, "Mia, Alskling, det ar dags att komma hem." The cushion lifted. The LEDs faded. A tiny sigh drifted through the vents, carrying the scent of Stockholm pine and little girl strawberry shampoo. For the next 5 nights, Mia attended every activity. Story time. Pages turned themselves in the floating storybook. Craft hour. Glitter glue drew perfect auroras no adult hand guided. 0G dance party. The motion sensors traced a 7-year-old leaping higher than physics should allow, leaving frost patterns on the ceiling that spelled MIA in childish cursive. The children left her snacks, gummy bears that vanished one by one, wrappers folded into origami narwhals. They asked the question all children ask the dead, "Does it hurt out there?" And the answer, soft through the PA system that was switched off, "It's like swimming in stars forever. But I miss Mommy's hugs." Sophia documented everything in encrypted reports. She remembered the old Nordic belief that children's souls are lighter than air. If the wind is right, they drift home. The company blamed infrasound from the ramjets causing mass auditory hallucination. On the final night, over the mirror-black Pacific, Mia's voice sang the farewell lullaby louder than the speakers, harmonizing with herself in perfect round. As the last note died, every holographic star in the lounge winked out at once, then relit, brighter, warmer. Her mother knelt before A1, tears freezing on her cheeks in the sudden cold. "Come inside now, little star. The skies had you long enough." The cushion flattened. The temperature normalized. The scent of strawberry faded. Sophia quit the next rotation. Works in a groundside kindergarten now, where the only galaxy is finger paint on paper. But she still has Mia's final drawing. A family holding hands under a smiling yellow sun, with northern lights dripping like melted crayons across the page. Curiosity made Sophia watch the empty cushion night after night. Fear made her lock the lounge after hours. Awe, the kind that leaves you lighter than air, came when she realized Mia wasn't trapped. She was waiting for permission to come in from the cold. Close the door, kill the lights, and come closer. Somewhere above the midnight Pacific, the recycled air suddenly smells of cotton candy and children's sunscreen, even though we're flying 1,000 miles from the nearest beach. Tonight's hook is the smallest, saddest one yet. A single child-sized cushion in the front row of the Nebula Play Lounge that keeps sinking under weight no adult can see, while the holographic stars overhead part like curtains whenever a little girl in a blue sequin dress waves at puppets that aren't programmed to wave back. Deck 6 of the Eternal Harmony houses the Nebula Play Lounge, a zero-gravity bubble of color and sound where the ceiling is a living galaxy and the floor is soft enough to forgive every tantrum. Sofia Delgado has run children's programming here for 12 seasons. She knows every allergy, every secret fear, every magic word that turns tears into giggles. She believed the stratosphere was the safest playground on Earth. No strangers, no sharp edges, just endless sky and parental wristbands that ping if a child drifts too far. Until Mia Lindström, age 7, from Stockholm. Night 3 of the Trans-Siberian Arc, the Lindström family occupied the Royal Panorama Pod on Deck 12. Dad, renewable energy billionaire. Mom, UN climate envoy. Mia, gap-toothed, fearless, clutching a stuffed narwhal named Bubbles and wearing the exact same glittery blue princess gown every single day because Elsa would never change outfits mid-quest. During the midnight aurora viewing in the panoramic observation blister, a glass sphere that juts from the hull like a soap bubble, Mia leaned too far over the safety rail to catch a falling star. A sudden yaw from clear air turbulence, a maintenance hatch left unlatched after servicing, and she slipped straight through. The alarms sealed the blister before the scream even finished. Official cause: explosive decompression exposure. A puff of frost against the aurora, then nothing. The family was emergency shuttled to Reykjavik Stratoport at first light. Manifest updated. Lindström, MIA, deceased/lost to vacuum. The lounge staff lit a candle, taped Mia's crayon drawings to the memory wall, and carried on. Children are buoyant. The schedule must drift. But on night 4, during the holographic puppet show Princesses of the Stratosphere, Sophia noticed the front row cushion in seat A. One dip exactly 41 pounds. The precise weight logged at Mia's check-in. The cushion's LED ring glowed soft Arctic blue, the color it turns only when occupied. The other children, 9 of them, ages 4 to 10, scooted away, whispering about the cold girl who's already sitting there. Sophia scanned the room. No unaccounted wristbands. The show began, holographic princesses battling comet dragons. Halfway through, a crystal-clear giggle floated from A1. Mia's giggle, recorded in her intake video as contagious joy. The lead puppet, Princess Nova, suddenly turned her glowing head toward the empty seat and said, unscripted, "Welcome aboard, Captain Mia. Ready to steer the starship." The AI script doesn't improvise. Yet Princess Nova waited, smiling, as if listening to an answer only she could hear. Then a small voice, bright as glacier melt. "Yes. Bubbles wants to fly too." Bubbles the narwhal had been recovered from the blister, sealed and lost and found. But on the security feed Sophia pulled up on her tablet, a fuzzy white shape nestled in invisible arms on seat A1. The children saw her clearly now. Pigtails, sequined blue gown, gap-toothed grin, waving both hands. Adults saw only the cushion compressing and uncompressing as though tiny lungs were breathing excitement. When the zero-gravity dance number started, soft footsteps pattered across the anti-static carpet in perfect 4/4 time. Leaving size, 27 scuffs that matched the spare princess slippers Mia's mother had packed. By intermission, the other kids were clustered at the back. "She's cold like space," one whispered. "She says she fell through the floor and kept falling." Sophia canceled the second half, promised extra constellation cookies, and checked the environmental logs. Temperature in A1 had dropped 11 degrees, cold enough to fog the air above the cushion in the perfect outline of a child's open-mouthed laugh. The science of high-altitude psychology insists that collective hallucination is common in low-oxygen luxury environments. But the pressure sensors logged 41 pounds. The audio buffers captured Mia's voice asking Princess Nova whether reindeer can breathe in space. And the holographic stars kept parting in a perfect child-shaped silhouette. That night, Mia's mother, still inexplicably listed as aboard due to a manifest glitch, wandered into the lounge at closing, eyes hollow as the void. She stood before A1 and whispered in Swedish, "Mia, Alskling, det är dags att komma hem." The cushion lifted. The LEDs faded. A tiny sigh drifted through the vents, carrying the scent of Stockholm pine and little girl's strawberry shampoo. For the next 5 nights, Mia attended every activity. Story time. Pages turned themselves in the floating storybook. Craft hour. Glitter glue drew perfect auroras no adult hand guided. 0G dance party. The motion sensors traced a 7-year-old leaping higher than physics should allow, leaving frost patterns on the ceiling that spelled MIA in childish cursive. The children left her snacks, gummy bears that vanished one by one, wrappers folded into origami narwhals. They asked the question all children ask the dead: does it hurt out there? And the answer, soft through the PA system that was switched off: it's like swimming in stars forever. But I miss Mommy's hugs. Sophia documented everything in encrypted reports. She remembered the old Nordic belief that children's souls are lighter than air. If the wind is right, they drift home. The company blamed infrasound from the ramjets causing mass auditory hallucination. On the final night, over the mirror-black Pacific, Mia's voice sang the farewell lullaby louder than the speakers, harmonizing with herself in perfect round. As the last note died, every holographic star in the lounge winked out at once, then relit, brighter, warmer. Her mother knelt before one, tears freezing on her cheeks in the sudden cold. Come inside now, little star. The skies had you long enough. The cushion flattened. The temperature normalized. The scent of strawberry faded. Sophia quit the next rotation. Works in a groundside kindergarten now, where the only galaxy is finger paint on paper. But she still has Mia's final drawing. A family holding hands under a smiling yellow sun, with northern lights dripping like melted crayons across the page. Curiosity made Sophia watch the empty cushion night after night. Fear made her lock the lounge after hours. Awe, the kind that leaves you lighter than air, came when she realized Mia wasn't trapped. She was waiting for permission to come in from the cold. Close the door, kill the lights, and come closer. Tonight the air smells of frangipani and hot stones, even though we're skimming the edge of the Arctic night, where nothing has ever flowered. That's our hook. A massage table in room 5 that still radiates body heat long after the therapist has fled, the sheets bearing the perfect outline of a woman who died on that same table 27 months ago, her soul apparently still returning for the 1 hour of peace she never finished. Deck 7, midships, is home to the Celestial Spa. Flotation tanks filled with Dead Sea brine flown up by cargo drone, Himalayan salt grottos, and 6 rose gold treatment rooms where the only light comes from fiber optic constellations embedded in the ceiling. Valeria Moreau has been lead therapist here for 14 seasons. She can read grief in the knots along a passenger's spine before they open their mouth. She thought she understood every kind of silence money could purchase at 41,000 feet. Then came the recurring 1,400 hours appointment of Mrs. Evelyn Hartshaw. Every voyage for the past 27 months, someone using Evelyn's decades-old profile books the full celestial renewal package. 90-minute hot stone, 60-minute lymphatic drainage, 40-minute craniosacral, always room 5, always 1,400 hours, always solo. The profile photo is frozen in 2003. Evelyn at 56, laughing on a yacht in Capri, auburn hair still untouched by silver. Payment routes through a Guernsey trust that has never once bounced. Valeria came to love the rhythm. The room prepared itself, towels warming on the rails, oils reaching exactly 42 degrees Celsius, the sound system cueing Debussy's Clair de Lune at 38% volume without anyone touching the panel. She would knock, enter, and find the table already bearing a faint imprint, as if the client had been waiting invisibly. She worked on air, following heat signatures and subtle resistance, feeling size rise in perfect sync with each press of her palms. Oils vanished. Stones cooled in the exact pattern of living flesh. At the end, the sheet always carried the delicate outline of a woman lying face down, arms gracefully tucked, a faint trace of auburn hair crushed into the fibers where no hair had been. Valeria told herself it was the highest compliment. Muscle memory, so strong the body returned out of habit. She began speaking softly to the emptiness. Breathe into the low back, darling. Yes, let the occiput float. And the sighs deepened, almost grateful. Then one afternoon the spa director slid a tablet across the teak desk. Death certificate. Evelyn Hartshaw, age 79, massive aortic dissection during hot stone treatment aboard the Eclipse Eternal, 27 months earlier, same fleet, same room 5, back when it was still numbered 8. She had died halfway through the lymphatic sequence. The therapist was quietly dismissed. The room was stripped, renumbered, re-blessed by a Balinese priest flown in for the occasion. Yet the bookings never stopped. Valeria felt the floor tilt like clear air turbulence. She went to room 5 anyway. 1358, towels warm. Stones clicking softly in their bowl, arranging themselves by temperature. Debussy began unprompted. She closed the door. The table was occupied, not visibly, but the depression in the memory foam was fresh, deeper than any living client had ever made. Heat rose in waves. The scent of Evelyn's signature fracas perfume, layered over faint antiseptic, hung in the air like expensive incense. Valeria's hands shook only once. Then 14 years of training took over. She dripped oil, laid stones along an invisible spine, and worked. Beneath her palms, she felt the familiar ridge of an old riding scar, the bunion on the left foot, the slight rightward tilt of the pelvis that always begged for extra time on the QL. When she cradled the base of the skull for craniosacral, a voice no louder than a heartbeat sighed directly into her ear. You have magic hands, darling. I've missed this terribly. Valeria did not flinch. She finished the treatment, folded the sheet into perfect hospital corners the way old-money British women insist, and stepped back. At 16:10 exactly the heat vanished. The imprint faded like breath on glass. The playlist ended on the final silver note. The stones were cold. The oil bottles showed 90 minutes gone. The Guernsey Trust auto tipped 25%, deposited into Valeria's account the next morning, taxed and real. She performed the silent appointment for 9 more voyages. Each time the body felt lighter, as though the soul was being gently untethered, stone by stone, breath by breath. On the final booking, as Valeria lifted the last basalt from an invisible sacrum, the voice returned, faint, amused, free. I believe I'm ready to drift now, darling. Thank you for teaching me how to let go. The table went cold mid-stroke. The fiber optic stars overhead flickered once, like a wink. Room 5 has been fully booked by living clients ever since. No heat ghosts. No auto-playing Debussy. But every 23rd of May, the anniversary of Evelyn's death, the staff steam shower runs by itself for exactly 90 minutes, filling the changing room with frangipani and hot stones. And if you stand very still, you can feel the soft press of a grateful hand on your shoulder before it finally, politely, drifts away forever. Valeria still works the spa, still speaks to every client the way she once spoke to absence. She says the dead taught her how to truly listen. Curiosity kept her hand steady the first time. Fear made her memorize every sigh. Awe, devastating and luminous, came when she realized she had been chosen to give a soul permission to relax into the endless sky. Close the door, kill the lights, and come closer. Tonight the recycled air tastes of cedar, cologne, and ozone, even though we're cruising above the Greenland ice sheet, where nothing has ever burned. That's our hook, a single passenger appearing simultaneously on 42 different security feeds, separated by kilometers of alloy and vacuum, all wearing the exact same charcoal suit that never wrinkles, all smiling like he already knows how the story ends. Javier Reyes has been night security supervisor on the Eternal Harmony for 17 seasons. 17 years of escorting drunk crypto princes out of the casino, carrying overdosed influencers to medical, and pretending not to notice when senators disappear into suites that aren't theirs. He knows every blind spot, every service ladder, every hatch that sighs when it shouldn't. Javier thought impossible was a word for people who still believed in gravity. Then came passenger 9917, Mr. Elias North, boarded alone in Nuke Stratoport. Tall, early 40s, quiet, charcoal suit that looked slept in but never creased. Paid in untraceable cash for the Emperor Suite on Deck 15, private lift, biometric vault, panoramic balcony that juts into the jet stream. Kept entirely to himself. No spa, no shows, no bar tab. Manifest note. Extreme privacy requested. Do not disturb under any circumstances. At 2:17 on night 5, Javier's console exploded. Camera 15 aft promenade. Elias North walking slowly, hands in pockets, staring at the Milky Way like it owes him money. Camera 10 jogging track. Elias North running, sweat on his brow, same charcoal suit. Camera 7 infinity pool. Elias North sitting on the edge, legs dangling over the void, shoes off, socks folded beside him. Camera 4 engine observation. Crew only Elias North with palm flat against the glass, feeling the throb of the scramjets. Camera 11 casino balcony. Elias North ordering a Macallan 30 neat. Camera 1 bridge wing. Officers only Elias North leaning on the rail beside the captain's chair, looking straight into the lens and mouthing, "Thank you." All timestamps identical. 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 11 seconds. Javier rewound. Same millisecond. 6 impossible places. The RFID in Elias's wristband pinged every location at once, as if the system itself was having an existential crisis. He ran. Promenade. Empty, only starlight and wind. Jogging track. Damp footprints that ended mid-stride. Pool deck. Navy cashmere socks still warm, arranged with military precision. Engine gallery. Handprint cooling on the glass. Casino. Bartender swore he'd just poured the Macallan. Glass still sweating. Payment declined. Wristband currently in use elsewhere. Bridge wing. Nothing but the faint smell of cedar and the captain's private log open to a blank page with one line in unfamiliar handwriting. The sky is wider when you stop choosing. By 4 o'clock, Elias was in 39 locations simultaneously. The ship's AI began stuttering, trying to reconcile vectors that folded space like origami. Passengers woke to corridor lights pulsing in perfect 72 BPM rhythm, an adult male heartbeat. At 6 o'clock sharp, sunrise painting the ice caps blood orange. Every single feed showed the same image at once. Elias North standing on the very nose of the ship, arms spread like a diver, charcoal suit flapping in 900 kilometers per hour wind. He looked back over his shoulder, straight into every lens on the vessel, and mouthed 2 words Javier read perfectly on 42 screens. "Thank you." Then he stepped forward. Every feed blacked out for exactly 0.83 seconds, the time it takes a body to fall out of frame at Mach 0.85. When vision returned, the decks were empty. The wristbands stopped pinging. The Emperor's suite was pristine, bed untouched, crossword on the desk completed in ink that was still wet, across. Realm without direction. Answer, everywhere. The company's continuity team arrived by chase plane before breakfast. They confiscated Javier's body cam, wiped the servers, made him sign an NDA that threatened prison in 4 jurisdictions and disappearance in 2 others. Gave him a medal he can never wear and a transfer to cargo blimps over the empty quarter. No passengers, no ghosts. He still has the socks. Size 11, navy cashmere, monogrammed yen. They still smell faintly of cedar, and ozone 4 years later. Old Sky Crew whisper that Elias North was lead navigation architect on the Eclipse Eternal, same ship that lost Dr. Lou's family. He was the one who designed the fail-safes that were supposed to keep the hull intact when the sky turned hungry. When the ship peeled open over the Andaman Sea, Elias was standing on the bridge wing, arms spread exactly the way he stepped off the Eternal Harmony 15 years later. He had spent every moment since trying to find the exact second he could leave without falling. Curiosity made Javier chase the ghost across 15 decks. Fear made him draw his sidearm on empty air. Awe, the kind that hollows your bones and fills them with starlight, came when he realized Elias North had needed the living to witness him finally choose nowhere, everywhere, all at once. If you're still awake, you already know why. Listen, the guest services phone on Deck 3 is ringing right now with that old-fashioned double brrrr you only hear in 1950s films, even though every outside line was severed 46 hours ago over the empty heart of the North Atlantic. When you pick up, a tired, polite woman with a soft Minnesota accent asks why the extra blankets she requested for the children still haven't arrived. Caller ID still reads, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 2347 local. That's tonight's hook. A family that died in their sleep 2 weeks before boarding, yet somehow still managed to take the vacation they saved 20 years for. Naomi Park has worked the midnight concierge desk in the marble and moonlight atrium of the Eternal Harmony for 15 seasons. She can hear a lie in 8 languages before the guest finishes smiling, can spot a forged passport from the reflection in their sunglasses, and has soothed more billionaires out of panic attacks than most therapists see in a lifetime. Naomi thought she had heard every possible complaint the stratosphere could invent. Then came the calls from Sky Suite 1804. The Bergstrom family, Mom Rebecca, Dad Michael, teenagers Hannah and Noah, never made it to Vancouver Stratoport. Carbon monoxide leaked from a faulty furnace in-floor heating system while they slept. Whole family found in their beds by the cleaning service that arrived to prep the house for their month-long absence. The company quietly canceled the booking, refunded the estate, reassigned the suite. Standard tragedy protocol. But at 23:11 on the first full night aloft, the internal line rang. Suite 1804. Naomi answered in her practiced midnight velvet. Guest services, Naomi speaking. How may I assist you this evening? A woman, calm, slightly hoarse from sleep. Hi. Yes, this is Rebecca Bergstrom in 1804. The kids are freezing. Could we please have 4 extra duvets and maybe some hot chocolate? Noah's asthma acts up when it's this cold. Naomi's fingers froze above the keyboard. Suite 1804 was sealed, lights off, temperature set to energy save 12 degrees Celsius. Of course, Mrs. Bergstrom. I'll send them right up. Thank you, dear. And please tell housekeeping to knock softly. They're finally drifting off. Naomi dispatched the order anyway. 23 minutes later, housekeeping radioed back, voices trembling. Door opened itself on the security chain. For duvets tugged gently from their arms by nothing. Door closed with a polite click. Temperature inside the suite read 9 degrees Celsius. Frost feathers on the inside of the panoramic window spelled Hannah plus Noah in teenage cursive. The calls continued every night. Always Rebecca, always courteous, always Midwestern nice. Day 3, 117. The Wi-Fi password isn't working. Michael needs to check some work emails. Day 4, 1844. Room service sent the 2019 Opus 1. Michael specifically asked for the 2018. He's picky, sorry. Day 5, 302. There's a faint smell of gas in the kid's bedroom. Can maintenance take a look? Every request logged perfectly under Bergstrom. Rebecca, Suite 1804, active. Keycard swipes recorded normal family traffic. Motion sensors traced 4 distinct heat signatures moving from beds to balcony to minibar and back. Minibar inventory depleted. 2 bottles Opus 1 2018, 1 family-size bag of kettle corn, for cans of oat milk latte, Hannah's favorite. Naomi started answering in whispers, terrified another concierge would overhear her talking to the dead. Rebecca always thanked her by name. Once even said, "Naomi, honey, are we still on schedule for the Northern Lights deck tomorrow night?" The kids have never seen a real aurora. On the 8th night, Naomi finally broke. "Rebecca, Mrs. Bergstrom, you know you're not really here, right?" Long silence filled with the soft hum of 41,000 feet. Then, gently, "I know the air feels thinner, but the children haven't noticed yet. Please let them have this one trip, Naomi. We saved for 12 years. That same night, Dr. Patel and medical received an emergency page from 1804. 16-year-old Noah having an acute asthma attack. Patel sprinted, burst in to find the door ajar, an inhaler missing from the standard kit. He administered a spare into empty air, felt small lungs pull the mist in, heard the wheeze ease into steady breathing, left the suite shaking. Checked the manifest later. Noah Bergstrom had been on a ventilator in Hennepin County Medical Center for 11 days. Flatlined at 2:47 Universal Time Coordinated, the exact minute Patel saved him at altitude. The final call came during descent into Singapore, the sky outside turning lilac with coming dawn. "Naomi." Rebecca's voice softer than starlight. "We're turning in now. Thank you for the most wonderful vacation. You've been an angel." Naomi was openly crying. "Rebecca, where are you really?" A smile in the static. "We're home, sweetheart. We never left the house." But the kids saw their aurora after all. Every light on the console winked out, then relit. Suite 1804 registered vacant. Temperature normal. Minibar full. Duvets stacked untouched. Except one pillow still bore the faint outline of a teenage girl's head and a single long brown hair that DNA later confirmed belonged to Hannah Bergstrom, currently on a slab in Minnesota. Naomi resigned the moment we touched tarmac. Lives in a ground-floor bungalow in Portland now, phone permanently unplugged. But every 14th of December, the day the Bergstroms were supposed to board, her cell rings at 2311 with a Minneapolis caller ID and only soft breathing on the other end. She lets it ring until voicemail catches it. Has never played a single message. Curiosity made Naomi send those first blankets. Fear made her whisper into a dead line every night after. Awe, quiet, irreversible, devastating, came when she realized she had been concierge for a family that died in their beds and still gave them the trip of their lives. The engines have dropped to that low, almost human sigh you only hear when the eternal harmony drifts above the weather and the world below forgets we exist. All the cabin lights are off. Even the emergency strips have dimmed to the color of old bruises. Nothing is left but this voice in the thin space between your heartbeat and mine. We have walked the entire length of the ship tonight. Imperial Suite 1414, where Dr. Lou's daughters still set the table with silverware that was scattered across the Andaman Sea 19 months ago. Table 42 in the Constellation dining room, where a Navy-cuffed hand still reaches across 50 years of death to toast an anniversary that refuses to end. Seat A, one in the Nebula Play Lounge, where a little girl in a sequined blue dress waited for her mother's permission to come in from the cold. Room 5 in the Celestial Spa, where a soul learned, stone by stone, how to finally let go. 42 security feeds that once showed a man in a charcoal suit learning to be everywhere, so he could choose nowhere at all. And the midnight phone on deck 3 that rang from a house in Minneapolis that no longer has windows, just so a mother could say good night one last time. 8 stories. 8 crew members who will never fly the same again. 8 sealed files in a company vault marked Altitude Anomalies. Do not open until 2100. And the quiet truth no non-disclosure agreement can touch. Some passengers never truly disembark. They stay in the recycled air that still carries cherry blossom static and frangipani and children's strawberry shampoo. They stay in the pressure sensors that register 41 pounds on an empty cushion. They stay in the reservation system that still lists them as active, do not disturb. They stay in the wine glass